Hey, YouTube universe. I am putting out more content, and my wife tells me I have to do this to keep my 522 subscribers. I guess I'm knocking it down. So, anyways, but yeah, I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel. And I just do this for the fun of it. I am not monetizing. I'm just giving back. I started out this channel focusing on ham radio topics, but over the years, I've decided to talk about anything else that I find interesting and share my 60 years of wisdom. So I am going to broach a new topic, and I'm going to talk about a health concern that I just weathered and went through. And I guess it's not a HIPAA violation because I'm not talking about anybody else but myself since I went through it. And so I'm exposing the YouTube universe to what my experience was. And the purpose of the video is twofold. First off, giving God the glory for saving my life, and for Him to us provide competent medical personnel to do the surgery that I experienced. And uh, and also, I'm just sharing my personal experience from a patient perspective, rather than hearing about this from medical professionals, and in hopes that if one of you YouTube universe subscribers is experiencing the same situation that you'll come armed with the right questions to ask and have a better understanding of this. Anyways, on April 11th, I had a life-changing experience, and then I used to have not have seizures, okay, but on April 11th, I had a seizure for the first time, and it happened in the middle of the night instead of during the day when I could have been possibly driving and causing an accident. So praise God that I had this happened because like I said, didn't have a history of seizures, and my first and hopefully only seizure was a doozy with being a grand mal. So my EMT service in Fox Lake, where I live, and I'm actually in Ingleside, and they're volunteer, and they uh, came over at 1 in the morning and picked me up. And I woke my family up with a seizure and about scared them half to death. And when I was on the way to the hospital, I was in a confused state, and they were trying to restrain me because I was combative, which isn't my nature. So they had to restrain me and give me a versette. So I'm thinking that I want to take this opportunity again to thank the EMTs locally, and I did it personally. I assembled the group that was from the ambulance driver and the police and whatever, and I had maybe 6 or 8 people around me when I dropped by the firehouse, and with tears in my eyes, I'm really reliving this right now. But I want to thank them just from the bottom of my heart, and sort of and close the loop on the experience that I went through, and and personally thank them because I think theirs is a thankless job. They pick up sick people and they don't know the outcome, because of HIPAA. And I understand HIPAA is here to protect, but I'm thinking it's kind of like getting overreached these days. But and so they don't know the end of the story. And so then I met with them and told them I made it and standing before you today because of your efforts. So, um, anyways, I um, I asked them and others that they delivered to the hospital if there's been anybody like me that stopped by and personally thanked them, and then they said no. So I don't know. I'm not telling you to do anything, but if you go through a medical emergency and the EMTs were there, you owe it to them to personally thank them, and I gave them a donation. So I was because I was grateful for what they did for me. Anyways, so I put the source of the back to my seizure when I discovered through the MRI and CT was a tumor that I had in my head that I didn't even know I had, and that was discovered with MRI. And then they did a CT of my whole body just to discover the primary source of the cancer, which I didn't have. And so the tumor that was in my head was just localized to my brain, which I was grateful for. And my my brain, I guess, just got pissed off enough to the growth and said, "Hey, one of us has got to go," and I think it's you. So, anyways, I didn't have any symptoms of the person with a brain tumor, and like constant headaches or blurred vision. Although looking back on it now, I had difficulties remember details when telling a story right before the seizure, and I'm not sure if it's old age because I'm not ancient. I'm 60, um, but maybe because of the tumor, it was affecting me. And I was telling um, a friend at dinner a story, and I couldn't remember the details and the important details. Well, I'll tell the story. So I use Enterprise occasionally. So I had ordered an Enterprise car, and I was telling the Enterprise driver that I was standing outside the driveway by my basketball hoop. And that's how he picked me up. And anyways, he said, "Well, okay, I'm about 5 minutes away," and I said, "Okay, good." Um, and then when you made the phone call, and five turned 10 into 15, and he didn't show up. And then finally he showed up, and I said, "Hey, where were you?" And he goes, "Well, I found another uh, gentleman standing in a driveway by a basketball hoop." And he just jumped in. I just started driving him back to the Enterprise car rental, and he said, "Wait, we're not taking me to the airport." And he said, "Yeah, no, I'm just taking you back to the Enterprise because you rented a car." And he goes, "No, I'm going to catch a flight." So he had to return him back to his house. And and I mean, I laugh about it, but because I think comedy is tragedy plus time. Because I'm sure the Uber driver missed his fare. And but anyways, anyways, the details of the story is I could remember Uber. I only remember Enterprise, and I just got frustrated, and I was just trying to think what was the other company. But anyways, so I digress. Anyways, less than 2 weeks, I have or had a craniotomy, and if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a geek, so I asked the surgeon to take pictures of the operation, and he did. And fortunately, he didn't do a brain selfie. And disclaimer, possibly because you're going to get grossed out, I'm going to show you pictures of my brain. So skip forward if you don't want to see this. So without further ado, here are the pictures. Okay, well, this is me early in the morning on Thursday, pre-op holding. My wife and I stayed at a local hotel since it's about an hour drive from my house to the hospital, and it's just a short 5 minute drive from the hotel. I mean, we didn't worry about, or I mean, I didn't want to worry about missing the surgery, and but I was up all night worrying about it, so I didn't get much sleep anyways. So, anyways, this is me in the early morning pre-op holding, and here's um, uh, the sensors, and it is kind of hard to describe, but they're electronic sensors that guide the surgeon to making the cut in the skull, and that way they know they are entering the place um, where the tumor was or is actually. And I know that they know that it's on the frontal left lobe, but this procedure um, gives the surgeon the exact location. And this is another view of the sensors that are on my head. And there's a computer program that's in the OR. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'll have to think it's amazing to be able to know where to go in from the sensors that were placed on my head. And so here's one last shot of I contemplating surgery. Yep, here's the gross pictures. Um, this is the tumor as it was being removed. And if we look, the picture here, my scalp is being held back by these little clips and then these restraining brackets. And I don't even know how they got the suture behind the tumor, but they did. And they removed it. So here it is coming out. I want to point out this is the meninge layer that was part of the tumor, and the tumor is called a meningioma because of that. So because of that meninge being removed with the tumor as it's being extracted, um, then they had to replace it. And here's the side view of the tumor coming out. So here is the implanted bovine meninge that was implanted to substitute for mine. So yeah, it's a bovine. So if I spontaneously start to moo or get mad cow disease, I'll blame this. And here's the son of a gun, the tumor, 5 centimeters, uh, and another view of when it was removed. And so here's me in the hospital bed in the ICU with a covering over my head and bandages. And it doesn't, it looks uncomfortable, but actually it was pretty comfortable, as comfortable it could be. The gauze was stretchy and it was wrapped around my neck and it wasn't very tight. So this is like a headdress I had to wear after the surgery. Now there's the stitches in my scalp to give you an idea. They had to cut from here over to there. It's just a big old cut, and then scalp was pulled back. And I'm actually surprised that they didn't have to cut my hair but I thought that they would, but they didn't, and everything turned out okay. And so I didn't get the ball to look after having the surgery. And so when I got home, there's a fruit basket from my company waiting, and it was really delicious fruit, and I appreciate that support from my company. And to not be outdone, I thought, what, you guys already delivered another fruit basket, yesterday. And he says, oh no, this is from another person. So I found out from the card, my dear friends, that they duplicated the effort. So I had fruit coming out my ears. So, anyways, back to my story. So the I just want to thank my surgeon, who I won't name because of anonymity, I guess. But he was a great uh, uh, surgeon. He had a good bedside manner, and he answered all my questions, and I was grateful to God, and then also my surgeon to have done the surgery. Um, in doing the research for the meningioma, I learned that 95% of them are benign, and and that was my case. It was benign because I had the lab report come back after waiting feverishly for a week to get the results, and fortunately, it turned out benign. But I I wanted to keep the tumor in formaldehyde and put it on my desk and say, look at it each day and say, "Hey, I beat you. You didn't win." But I I couldn't because the pathology request for slicing and dicing to make sure there's no cancer there. So I was blessed to have it analyzed and to have that outcome. Now, putting me back together, I had once the meninge was replaced with bovine, and my scalp was put back on my head, um, skull part actually, and they had to secure it in place, and they used 9 screws. And I had this explained by the surgeon after when I had the checkup. And I likened it to a chain link, because, with the link, you got holes, 2 holes. And, so that's the 2 screws. So I'm trying to figure out the 9 screws. There's should be 10 maybe. But I don't know. Hey, you know what? I got a screw loose. Okay, there you go. There's my joke. And then besides the screws to put me back together, they use sealant, which I don't want to know. But I guess this was to keep my brain from losing juice, whatever. So I tell jokes about the operation. Because I say, I had a firmware upgrade, and then I had my memory replaced with high-speed memory, and so I can remember things better and stuff like that. So I had to kid around with myself to get through this. And then I would joke to my friends, it's not like brain surgery. It's when I'm trying to describe something, simple. It's like, well, now I can relate to that, that quote. It was brain surgery. Well, anyways, I was waking up when I was recovery, and I tell you what, it was just I couldn't talk, right now. I can talk, but not as I used to. I'd have thoughts of being, um, in my head, but I was unable to convey them. It was like the words weren't there, and I couldn't even write because I gave me a paper and pencil, and I couldn't, put the letters together to make. I mean, it was just awful. So, and I had explained to me this because they were in the frontal left lobe, which is responsible for speech. And because they're in their tinkering, it was swollen. So I was prescribed a course of steroids, and I've taken them, uh, right after the surgery for like a couple days, and then I was weaned off of them. Um, but my speech gradually came back to this point where I am today. And I mean, my wife, who was supportive. I mean, she said jokingly, um, "You sound like Bob Newhart," and I can relate because I I feel like like that when I'm talking slower and robotically, and because it's a matter of being deliberate and thinking of what I want to say and constructing sentences in my head before I deliver it. It's kind of hard to describe, um, but in fact, I think earlier I think I talked too fast, but now I talk normal because my speech is slower. But I think because I'm talking this way, it's patronizing. So I hope people don't take that in that vein. And so, um, but anyway, so I think I sound like a telemarketer, when you get robocalls, like this is a Social Security department, your account has been compromised, I mean that I don't maybe have that robotic voice, but I feel like it sometimes. So if you watch my earlier YouTube videos, I had more fluid speech, and I think because I get stuck and I am looking for the words. I'm kind of like digging into my vocabulary to come up with a equal in my thesaurus of my brain. So if I come up with unique words as I'm talking, I kind of surprise myself. But I have to do this, and that's the only way I can communicate. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Um, I did a couple of speech therapy sessions, but I didn't find it useful. And my best therapy is getting on the ham radio and to try to speak, and I find that it helps. Speaking extemporaneously, it's like doing Toastmasters, which I didn't do, but I've told what it's like, getting up doing the extemporaneous speaking. But I just do this to get better at my speaking abilities. Um, and when I share my story on the radio or in person, I feel like it's therapy, not only for me, but for the people I share my message with, because they themselves have been through harrowing stories, like maybe a heart lung transplant or whatever. And I find it helps. And when I share my story, I listen intently to their stories. And I feel like I'm a therapist, in a strange way. But not to belabor this point, but when we say that we are doing fine and we aren't, we're kind of fooling ourselves, because I think we're all hurting inside in some way. And if you not wearing your heart on your sleeve and whining, pissing and moaning all the time, but if you say what is on your mind, I think it's cathartic, and it helps heal the soul, and it helps you move on in life. So, um, but ironically, when I'm speaking, I find myself speaking and skipping the prepositions. Like of, by, with, for. And that's what makes speaking sound more fluid, and and I think if I speak a sentence with prepositions missing, I gotta go, oh well, I gotta speak that again because that wasn't good. Um, so here's my side effects, and they're nothing really, major, but it's uh, something I've observed, post-op. After had the surgery, I felt like a sloshing of fluid, and that I call brain juice. But that went away after a week, 2 weeks. When you think about it, the brain was compressed with the tumor, and so there was like, relief. It's like the brain had to go back into the space that was being occupied by the tumor. And because my scalp was cut back as I shown you in the picture, I have a tightness on my head that I can't describe other than feeling like I'm perpetually wearing sunglasses, on top of the head all the time. It's lessening, but it's still kind of noticeable. And I've lost all feeling on top of my head at the incision point, but I'm told that this will come back. And then finally, I've got a valley from here to there, where the incision was, and I hope this fills in because if I get bald, it would be like a weird look. But I guess that's my badge of courage that I went through what I went through. And ironically, you would think the surgery would hurt like hell, but I don't experience pain. I didn't experience pain. I mean, out of 10 pain scale, I would just say it was 2. I mean, and not any more than that. And that was right when I was in ICU. So I was prescribed opioids, but for fear I'd get addicted to them, I didn't take them. So I didn't take any pain medicine, not even a Tylenol. Wow. So so if you're you know uh, going to go through this, don't worry about the pain. It's not the issue to worry about. And so I was on a leave of absence for about a month, and I probably could have returned sooner, but I wasn't proud of my speaking abilities because sometimes I got stuck, finding the words, and I've got to do replacements with my, thesaurus and brain. Um, it's kind of like a real-time thesaurus, I would, describe. But I'm just thankful to God that I'm waking up on the green side of the grass each day. So why did I get this? I learned that meningiomas are slow growing, perhaps over decades. So I don't know what to attribute this to. Could it be a Bluetooth headset that I wear or a heredity? Who knows? And the jury's out on this. But if you get it, you got to just get it taken care of. And but I'm thankful that I didn't experience the other type of a brain tumor which is glioblastoma, which spreads quickly and has a bad outcome for the patients. Um, okay, so what did the entire episode cost? Boy, this is going to be a good story. You're going to get a kick out of it. So let's talk about insurance, and let's clear up a misconception I had. HMO, managed care versus PPO, where you can go anywhere. Well, initially, the place that I was brought to, which was closer, wasn't it network. So they did the X-rays and CT, and then they sent me home, and then they recommended a brain surgeon to go in network that I could schedule the surgery with. And that that trip was like 34,000. And then the next place, the in network was 78,000. So if you add the two together, it was $112,000 final bill. And this is going to amaze you. Um, but I was charged only $150 for each hospital visit for a total of 300. Um, and this is, I kind of believe that's, you know, basic managed care, you know, the HMOs. If you choose the PPO, which I thought, you know, hey, well, it's a PPO, that's a Cadillac option, you know, you can go anywhere. Well, hey, but that comes with deductibles and you know other expenses that you had to hit before they'll pay the max and whatever. But if in this case, since the emergency room or I was brought into the emergency room, they treated it like a mandatory, like I would get in network expense. So I don't know. That was amazing. Um, so if you're a subscriber to my channel, you're I learned that I've got a YouTube video on my dislike of mail-in surveys and online surveys because rarely do the end caregivers get personally thanked and that's just because they use you know 1 to 5 with a variety of questions instead of filling in the blanks you know to get your you know side feedback of what you liked and didn't like and whatnot. And because this is all you know data points on a graph, you can put it on a pie chart and you know massage data is you know whatever and this data is useful to the shareholders and C-level people. It's going, you know, like year over year, we're better in this metrics and you know all that crap. So what I did is I personally called my caregivers that looked after me when I needed them most in the ICU. And um, uh, Anna was my intake nurse on the second shift, and Bart was the overnight. And without them, I don't know, I might not be here, you know, because they were super. And I mean, besides the surgeon, it's you know, it's the quality of care that you receive in the nursing department, and you know, the people at the top, they you know, they don't. This good news of my happiness never filters down to them. And you know, I asked Bart and Anna when I called them individually on their shift if or there's a patient that has you know followed up with them and thanked them, and they said you're the first. And I'm kind of shocked by that, but I guess maybe I think they you know the C-level people they think that their thanks is their paycheck. So here's the timeline of events, and it went like this. So I arrived at the hospital at 6 a.m. on Thursday morning for surgery prep. I was operated on around 9:30. The procedure took 4 hours, and then I was brought to the recovery room. And I spent a few hours in the recovery, and then I was brought to ICU in the evening, where I stayed till Friday afternoon. And then I was discharged from ICU and brought to the telemetry floor where I spent a day and was discharged on Saturday at noon. So, so from Thursday, Friday, since you know all it's like this all happened in a day and a half. So I was amazed, and I was up for leaving. I wasn't needing to stay. I didn't have any complications. So I um, I hope that you found this useful, and for those of you that watched it to all to the end, and if you find yourself in this unfortunate situation, maybe there's some information that you can glean from my video. Maybe I can uh, help some medical schools with this in some way. If you dial into the YouTube in the uh, future, maybe 10 or 20 years, because this data lives on, I guess, after we die. But and also I just wanted to remember, thank people when they do a good service for you, and don't take it for granted, because uh, they they do this day in and day out, and um, they appreciate the compliments and accolades that you can bestow on them. So this is the end, and I just wanted to thank you for watching, and I want to promise to bring more uplifting content. I want to do a video on tires next. Wow. Okay. Thanks. Bye.